Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and today we're taking a look at an incoming transmission from Games Workshop with very little to go along with it. This video is sponsored by CMO Games. More on that later. Alright, so Games Workshop sent out an email, or if you go over to the Warhammer community website, you can see that they basically have this short little video on repeat, and it just said, incoming transmission, what could this mean? And obviously we see the Warhammer 40,000 logo. And from there, we're kind of speculating. Now, we know for sure that this is some sort of tyrannid creature here. We can see from the color scheme, the purple and that kind of like fleshy color, that this is a high fleet Leviathan tyrannid. And then as we zoom in, we see in its eye the reflection of a Terminator or Terminator armor. So from there, it's basically just speculation. There's not much more information. We can go click on the actual article. Unfortunately, Games Workshop has failed to kind of link this video in the actual article. So you can either watch the video here or on YouTube, or you can click on the article and just look at a still picture with like 20 words. So we'll look at this for a little longer. We'll speculate a bit, and then we'll kind of go from there. So if we know, obviously, this is a tyrannid from Leviathan. We know it's not some new tyrannid swarm or anything like that because it's existing colors from one of the main swarms. We know there is a Terminator, and then we have heard some speculation that the new 10th edition launch box set will be Tyranids versus Space Marines, and that there's going to be some form of new Terminators. Now, I don't think that that's unrealistic. Basically, Tyranids have gone quite a while without having some new kits, or they have quite a few kits, I should say, that haven't been redone in a while. They did get like the Parasite of Mortrax and some other new stuff recently, but there's a bunch of kits in there that are like 10, 15, 20 years old plus. So it's probably time that they redo some of them, and the speculation is that those will be getting redone in 10th edition. So it would make sense that they have a 10th edition launch box with some of those new gaunts or something like that, maybe some new warriors, etc. Some kind of completely new beast, not just new models. And then, of course, some of the Space Marine units that are still kind of missing from the book. And when I say Space Marine units that are missing from the book, obviously Games Workshop created Primaris Marines, and for the most part, they have made a Primaris equivalent to all of the more traditional Space Marine units. Now, in some cases, it's a little different, but for the most part, they're like equivalent units, not necessarily direct replacements. So you have like your old Devastator squad. We have seen that the Primaris got essentially equivalent of a Devastator squad in the new Desolation squad. And then also they have, heavy plasma weapons, etc. So they haven't been like one-for-one swaps, but we know the two main things that are missing from the Primaris range now are like a Terminator equivalent, and then also some kind of like jump troops that are also equipped for combat. So those are the two main things that people are expecting now that we have that Desolation squad. And I think it's realistic to think we get something like that. So if this is in fact the 10th edition, launch preview trailer hype video, and we are going to be getting either new Terminators, models, or equivalent, it seems very unlikely that Games Workshop would take the actual Terminator kit and then just make the Terminator kit in Primaris, because they haven't done that for anything else in the range. Now, here's where the speculation actually would tell you the opposite. Games Workshop has always had sort of like a lore element behind the Terminator armor and kind of like this lost age of technology thing going on in Warhammer 40,000. So essentially, they have been able to create things in the past, but because of a series of unfortunate events, they're no longer able to make that super cool stuff. So in the case of Terminator armor, they're unable to make Terminator armor anymore. So basically, they just really nicely keep up with the old Terminator armor, make sure to keep it in nice shape, slightly modify it on occasion, but essentially there's only so many suits of Terminator armor, so they have to like protect them and covet them, and they treat them as holy relics. So it seems unlikely that they're just suddenly going to be able to make a ton of new Terminator armor. So I think more likely than not, this is going to be like a reimagination of Terminators that have crossed the Rubicon. So maybe they modify the suits for Primaris Marines or something like that, but it seems very, very unlikely that they would just create a new unit, name it something different like they have done for all the other Primaris units, and then have it look almost exactly like Terminator armor, etc. So I'm not completely convinced that that's what we're seeing here, but we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, it's just complete speculation, but I think maybe there's a possibility that actually this isn't for Warhammer 40,000 10th edition. Maybe this is a new standalone Space Hulk game. Maybe this is the next iteration of Kill Team, and it's going to be Tyranids versus Terminators. I'm not necessarily sure I'm convinced on any of those things, or that there's a strong case for it, but there's definitely some possibilities that this is not just regular old Warhammer 40k 10th edition Tyranids versus Space Marines. Now, it's definitely a possibility, but I don't think we should just count that as a sure thing for now. So let's take a look at the actual article. There's not much there, but we might as well have a look. Now a quick message from today's sponsor. CMO Games has been selling Games Workshop products online for over 20 years. They carry the full line of Games Workshop products, including Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Necromunda, Blood Bowl, paint tools, and more. Almost all Games Workshop products are priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games takes pre-orders for most Games Workshop products released at their earliest date possible. 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, they go live. Most of these pre-order products are also priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games offer free shipping in the US 48 with an order of $50 or more. Their customer service is top-notch, and they ship most orders within 24 hours. Visit CMOGames.com using the affiliate link in the description and let them know that you heard about CMO Games from Warhammer Man. Now, back to the video. If we scroll down here and give it a click, it takes us to this 12th of March, 2023, Echoes from the Warp. Through the gloom of the Great Rift, we have intercepted a mysterious psychic transmission, patching you through now. And then it's literally just this picture right here. I would imagine the link is supposed to be to the video, but it didn't work. So this is it. You see the Terminator. He looks like a pretty classic Terminator. It is a piece of art, not a model, so it's tough to tell if the proportions are just a little off or if it looks completely different. Obviously, looking at this little bit of a reflection in the eye, we can see that the head looks a little on the smaller side compared to like the current range. So maybe all the bodies are getting bigger, the head's going to stay the same size, and this is the new models. Maybe it is just a disproportionate piece of art. We really don't know, and there's not much here for us, honestly. So what could this all mean, question mark? We're not sure, but we're excited. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited. It's cool. I think it'll be nice to see new Terminator models. That would be pretty cool. I think it would be nice to see the Terminators like reimagined to scale, or like the equivalents of like true scale or whatever, because honestly the old Terminator models look just a little bit derpy next to like the new Primaris stuff. I know a lot of people are obsessed with Firstborns and hate Primaris, but the fact of the matter is I am definitely into like the hobby and the game, but I appreciate the quality of the miniatures much more because that's what I do mostly is paint them. And you can push around like cardboard pieces, or you could push around nice models when you're playing the game, and it makes much less difference. When it comes to actually painting and the sculpts and all that stuff, the quality of the miniature is what matters. And I don't know if they remade Firstborn Marines, if they could just make them awesome and better than Primaris Marines, but I don't think so. Because a lot of the changes that they made to the Firstborn Marines just make them look exponentially better as Primaris. So I understand there's a lot of people out there that are stuck in their own ways and hate Primaris Marines. It took me a while to warm up to them as well. But the fact of the matter is the overall look and the quality of the miniatures is exponentially better. So even if they took the old Terminators and just brought them up to scale and didn't change much about them, I'd be completely happy with that. Now that would not fit into their normal like equation though when it comes to the transition between Firstborn Marines and Primaris, because the Firstborn Marines, you know, they take basically the Devastator squad and then they turn it into the Desolation squad. They don't do like a one-for-one transfer over. The equipment's different, the look of the squad is different, the weapons are definitely different, especially in that case. But the fact of the matter is, if we're going to see these Terminators come to the Primaris line as new Primaris Marines, but they're still going to be Terminators, still have the same look and everything, we have to have some kind of like lore matchup where essentially they're able to modify this relic armor for these new like bigger, beastier Primaris Marines, but they're not able to like create it from scratch because that has always been the lore. And it's possible maybe they'll just completely retcon it. Maybe they're just now able to make the new Terminator armor and it's going to look a lot the same, but they're just going to change the name and that's it. And I'll be completely wrong. But it seems unlikely. So we'll have to see. It's pretty much all speculation at this point in time. We have very little to go by, but I wouldn't rule out 10th edition. I wouldn't rule out just a new box set. I wouldn't rule out a standalone game like a new Space Hulk. And I also wouldn't rule out like a Kill Team expansion or something like that, although I would put that one way, way further down the list. So do I think this is the new Space Hulk game or 10th edition launch box? I'm honestly not sure. I think it would make a lot more sense with something like Space Marines and Tyranids to bring back classic Space Hulk game. I think it would sell like hotcakes and people would be all about it, especially if it was actually like a decent game. And now with all like the super cool walls and terrain they have for boarding actions and kill team, it seems like a no-brainer to bring back that set. And we know for a fact the Games Workshop has been all about recycling that terrain in any way that they can. So to me, it makes a ton of sense if we see a new Space Hulk game come out with the new terrain, a couple of new upgrade sprues, and then possibly some reimagined Space Marines versus Terminators. Is it 10th edition though? Yeah, more likely than not. It's probably like new 10th edition hype stuff. But I'm sticking with Space Hulk. That's what I think. That's what I hope. That's what I want. So you guys let me know what you think. I'm sure I missed some things along the way. But overall, to me, looks like just kind of a teaser. It does seem rather strange, though. Normally, Games Workshop would put out their Sunday This Week in Warhammer video and just talk about what's coming out this week. Instead, they put out this super, super vague, single little kind of like animation and couple word article. So very strange of them. Obviously, they want to create some hype behind it, and they did it by doing something different. Is it going to work out? Yeah, I think people will be hyped. People like to speculate. I mean, they do stuff like the rumor engine, so obviously they keep doing that, so people get excited for it. They like to guess. They like to speculate. They like to get the internet buzzing and talking. So you guys let me know what you think. Always like to hear your opinions. Special thanks to CMO Games for sponsoring the article. Check them out to save 15%. Well, that's it for today. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and I'm intrigued. And I'm out of here.